Hi, with the LGBTQ review, we are reviewing some shorts called
Defiant Dykes.
Yes,
shorts.
From SQIFF, the Scottish Queer International Film Festival.
In Glasgow. Yeah, this was the last event that we saw at the festival, comprised of 6 short films about lesbians. So, the first film was Oh Be Joyful, which was about a Welsh grandmother and her granddaughter, yeah. Her granddaughter was her carer. She suspected her of being a lesbian, even though she protested that she wasn't a lesbian. Think of Miss Marple and then just forget about that. It was nothing like Miss Marple.
The grand, she's quite ill.
She assumes she's going to die soon.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, let's go have some fun. And she tells a story about how her husband was having an affair with someone, and she's like, fuck this, I'm gonna go out and have a great time. So she went out and like started stealing stuff to get a buzz, and then she almost had a lesbian encounter with this co-worker.
Yeah.
Lesbian encounter?
They like kissed, but they didn't have sex because... Why didn't they have... Oh, she threw up because she just got really drunk. Yeah, I thought it was quite good. What did you think?
Yeah, it was quite funny. Like, the crowd loved it. Like, they were really into it.
Do you know what I didn't like? They assume that this security guard is a lesbian, right? And then the granddaughter, like, never talks about being a lesbian, and she never, like, talks to anybody, you know, asks anyone out or anything. Asks anyone out. I'm 14. And then at the end, after they do some stealing and then they, like, get caught a bit, and then the security guard lets them go, then she's like, oh, here's my number. And the security guard's like, I'm not a lesbian. Great. Whole film, great up until that point. And then the other woman is like, suggests that she just is. Like, yeah, you are. And then like, just walks off. No, that's not how it works.
I agree, I did find that a bit gross.
Yeah. But everybody else laughed, so, you know, maybe we're just wrong. Yeah, okay, let's move on. My Aunt May.
It's quite an interesting film. We found out in the discussion afterwards. So she was taking care of her mother as she made the film, so she could only make it in her mother's kitchen. That's why it's all like cards and made out of cards, sorry, and the
little dolls.
And then it's all audio, so it's like kind of stop motion animation.
She was like, Mum, I'm gay, and she was like, that's fine. You're just gonna be like Aunt Mame.
Yeah.
But you'll probably die alone still because, you know, people are complicated. And then it like flashes back, she's like, what? Aunt Mame? And it flashes back to them going to her house, and every time they go to her house she has a different girlfriend. And then I imagine she died alone, because where else would her sister get that idea from? She died with no money, and she was illiterate, so she couldn't write or read any letters to the family. So they like lost touch basically. This
is good. It's probably my least favourite until the discussion afterwards when you get more information about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh okay, no, I really appreciate that actually.
Yeah. Should we move on to the next one?
Yes.
So the next one is called Honeymoon. It's about I don't know if they're not, are they? So it's about 2 women that are on their honeymoon. One of them is deaf. I assume just one of them is deaf because the other one speaks to the waitress.
But is she like... Because some...
She might be lip reading.
It's like great to see deaf people on screen, and gay deaf people is even like a smaller intersection.
I actually know some gay deaf people. I know quite a lot of gay deaf people, but that's niche, I suppose, isn't it, for life? I don't. Do you know a lot of gay deaf people?
No. In terms of like a film, it's really great. In terms of, I don't know, like a lot of comedy comes out of their argument because it's so like having such a massive grand argument in this like cafe, and it's just kind of silence apart from them like really loudly expressing themselves with their hands and like slamming down the table. So the people like around them are just like not quite sure what's happening, but it's like so intense as well.
I think it's my favourite.
Really good.
Of these, yeah.
Just like a really like powerful, punchy little short film.
I mean, it's about lesbians on their honeymoon, so it's going to be my favourite.
Yeah, in terms of writing as well, like the actual like script is really strong, I think, as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I like all of it. It's great. So some like paddling.
Yeah.
Good.
They covered all the bases if you want to impress Beth.
Well, there was no dancing. Had we not seen leg, arm, head, arm, leg, head?
Just trying to remember body parts, leg, arm.
No, that's what that film was called.
Leg, arm, head.
The dancer.
Yeah.
Have we not seen that one? I think this would probably have been my favourite for
really
the whole thing. Clearly, I'm like a stereotype. I've just realised, but you know. Yeah. So let's move on. So the next one's called Ponytail. It's set in Israel. It's about a girl that is going to Tel Aviv to go to the gay clubs.
So she grabs a taxi, she gets changed on the way, and then she meets this woman who is a photographer in the bar, and they have like this really like passionate kiss in the toilets. We don't see any more than that. I presume there's no more to that, and then she goes off.
No, she just leaves. Yeah.
She just leaves.
She's like getting with someone else at the beginning though, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
she has to like hitchhike out of her settlement, and
I think this and Honeymoon are really great examples of short films and how like you don't need to tell like a massive story in a short period of time. You can just have such a really simple story because it's just overnight. She goes there, this happens, she comes back, It's just kind of like really nice, especially like it ends on like as the morning kind of like starts. Yeah, really great.
She's got changed out of her Tel Aviv clothes and she's
like a tiny little slice of her existence, which I appreciate.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about this one too. I like this one as well.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Everything That I'm Not. So it's about butch femme relationships in working class background.
The filmmaker interviews couples. Originally it's going to be like a photo project, I think. So all the images that you see are these kind of like shots of these weird kind of landscapey type things, and sometimes it's just like on estates and stuff. So all these. Like,
it's just where they live, isn't it? So it's like, the houses around their houses, the gardens, their like living rooms, their bedrooms, their clothes. Yeah. And
then the audio is just like the interviews themselves. There's really fascinating, really great interviews, and it talks about butch femme relationship, all the dynamics of it essentially, and how it works. So it's actually quite like just like an insight to such like a small part of a larger LGBTQ community.
And the last one is breaking down my translation.
Yeah,
a rapper and breakdancer describes feeling alienated by middle class queer culture and explores their identity. Middle class queer culture? What's that? Prosecco and stuff?
Yeah. This one was not my favourite, but I quite liked it. Like in terms of just the form that they decided to make it, I didn't find it that engaging compared to the other documentary that was before it.
I quite liked it. I enjoyed it a lot more after hearing what they had to say about it in the discussion. Shall we talk about the discussion?
Let's talk about the
discussion.
The panellists, the interviewer, she was really pushing the fact that they were working class films, LGBTQ people, working class background. The panel themselves didn't seem to think that it was.
They were like pushing against that.
Yeah, really running against it. The two people from the documentary,
Everything That I'm Not.
Yes, they were there. They were really articulate and really amazing women. The director of
My Aunt Mame.
Yeah, My Aunt Mame. She was completely like lost by this like, working class thing. What was interesting was in the film itself, her aunt is illiterate.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they may have programmed this film.
It's difficult to say something is working class when it's films from the UK, America, and Israel. Because they're like three very different places that have three very different ideas of working class.
In terms of it being a successful panel, it was. I thought that was really interesting.
There's a lot of confusion on the panel,
but it's confusing. You can follow us on Twitter at LGBTQ_review. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos about SQIFF and just other stuff. It's all good.